tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say is even harder to find.
Welcome to another episode of Not All Things Real Estate. What is it now?
Unlocking Silicon Valley.
Unlocking Silicon Valley.
Where we're breaking banter.
Keeping it real.
And
where are we right now?
We have like a totally identity crisis or something.
Mark, where are we? Tell us.
Unlocking Silicon Valley. Why don't you tell us where we are with our stats in the market right now, Mr. Mustache Minute?
Mark, where are we right now?
Physically.
No, literally, where are we?
We are at, it's an unknown location for licensing compliance issues, but we are in our new Bat Cave, which is
Look at that.
VKG Estate Group.
The
This is where
VKG
all of
HQ.
it happens.
Professional.
That's right.
All right.
VKG.
A couple market stats for you
Let's
gentlemen
do it.
here. Active properties in the county. We're at 843.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, does this include
Absolutely.
coming soon?
No.
No.
We're
Okay.
going to get,
Okay.
843 single-family homes, 527 townhomes and condos, so about 13.
It's like totally deja vu. Has that number even changed?
It's holding.
I think it's been flat pretty for the last few weeks.
Yeah,
it's been just around the 1350 to 1400 homes, with another like 260 something coming
Yeah,
soon.
334 off-market homes.
Yeah.
And then pending properties, we have 843 single-family homes.
So, everybody, I know buyers and sellers, we're going to wait the market out this way or the other. The market's not really changing, and it's going to be driven by inventory. And that inventory is not really increasing, and I don't see it increasing for a long time.
I mean, I said this to David and some of you guys this week. It's like at the gym, there's no one. I've been driving home on tours. I've been going on 85 around 334. Yesterday, I had to get off on Blossom Hill. No traffic. No, decent people at open houses, but not busy. I think everyone, again, school starts 3 weeks earlier this year, so everyone goes back next Wednesday. Are people getting in the last bit of vacation, last travel?
I mean, again, we've said this on many podcasts and everything else. It's like for 35 years, I go home to Didi that, hey, it's slow right now. It's like, well, shut the hell up. That's why we take our vacation June and July. Everybody else does too. We're an affluent area. It's not like real estate 101 in the middle of America where people want to move during schools, because they have, I think in those areas, they have a little bit more opportunities maybe to do that, where they can pick and choose when they do it. In our area, everybody's affluent, they're on vacation, they kind of just, buyers get burnt out during the hot season, and sellers are focusing on other things, and
But on the flip side, Jason, how many people did you have this weekend at your open house?
Oh my gosh, almost 60 groups.
Yeah. Well, again, that's where it goes to, and it's something we're always looking at, right? We're always staying on top of what the daily market's giving us, because that's how our market spends on a dime. Mm-hmm. So right now we're seeing this scenario. If you're in a prime area, you're still going to see great activity because the inventory is so low and we still have buyer demand out there. The answer will happen as we get into August. If we start seeing the outlying areas start picking up again, then it was just that seasonality of summertime, right? If we don't see it pick up again, then we might be at the mercy of this wonderful, entertaining political environment that we're in and economic situations. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I ran a quick comp for the home that I have on the market right now, just in our area, 4 blocks or whatever. There hasn't been a pending property in the last 17 days. And there's 9 of them sitting on the market.
Yeah. Oh, in the same neighborhood, there's 9.
All around.
Yeah,
all
well,
around,
that
yeah.
definitely changes the scope of things, right?
Well, it's interesting. It's like, are people just comparing those? Is it just all at a dead stop?
Where's that, approximately where's that neighborhood at? Is that like Los Gatos, Cambrian?
95, yeah, Cambrian area.
It is in Cambrian.
Yeah.
Is that one of those areas that have totally jacked up where you're talking 2 million plus type of a neighborhood?
Yeah.
So I think that could be showing a little bit of buyer pain or pushback, right? Where they're saying, okay, you guys hit your ceiling. We're not taking that ceiling anymore. Mm-hmm. We're going to back it down. Because, listen, not that long ago, if you had a property in 95124 over $2 million, that was kind of on the high side of things, right? And also then we started going $3 million. It was like, in Cambria? Are you kidding me?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is it more of just that buyer seasonal thing? Are they not here? Are they traveling? Are they comparing?
Well, I'll tell you this. If you only had 1 or 2 in that neighborhood, I would say, yes, it's seasonal. But if you got 9 homes in that neighborhood or in that surrounding area and nothing's moving, I don't know. I think there's buyers still out there.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Again, my gut's telling me it's seasonal because we are seeing a little bit of uptick with a little bit of activity. Open houses are starting to come back around and stuff. We're a couple days from now, it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow's August 1st, or 2 days from now, it's
Thursday.
August 1st.
Thursday.
And that's when we start seeing the market pick up because everybody's doing their last minute vacations, coming back. We'll really know by August 15th if this was a seasonal shift or if it's an actual shift.
Well, then on the opposite end, I did one this weekend, 95124. Very entry level house, 1.4.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
60 groups through.
Yep.
Almost every single person that came through was young couple, recently married, kind of like, mid-level tech.
Right.
And they're renting and they're looking for the first home.
Yeah.
It was 97%.
Is this one on Camden?
Camden, yeah. So
Okay.
busy street, but
That's crazy. So on a busy street, you have that much activity.
on a busy street.
We just listed that property first open house.
First open house. Yeah,
Okay.
listed
Taking
Thursdays. Taking offers
How
Wednesday.
many? Do you know how many downloads?
Wow.
I think 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Downloads or
Entry
views?
level.
Downloads.
I'm surprised on a busy street we're seeing that, but thus the price too.
The house is also dialed.
Yeah.
It is immaculate.
What
That's
would you
awesome.
say homes sell for that are not on the busy street in that neighborhood?
Oh, if you go into an interior street, it's going to be way higher. Like
10% higher, right?
Yeah, easily.
Exactly. So
yeah.
that there's
Just
a lot of
for
value.
appraisal purposes, busy streets like Camden, Blossom Hill, an appraiser is going to hit those like 10%, right? And then you have the thoroughfares like Foxworthy and
Yeah.
stuff. They might be 5 to 7, just depending on what location you're getting on them. But that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it still shows you our market's still very active.
Yeah.
I mean, with certain price points and locations, right?
Yeah. It's very
Good
interesting.
stuff.
Yeah, we move in different ways. We flow in different ways.
So it's still buyers still have challenges out there,
Yeah.
right? I know, up until recently, if a buyer didn't have 20% down or 50% down, good luck trying to get your offer accepted. However, you guys have seen some pretty good successes. I know, Jeet, you've got a successful story right now. So what I'd like to do is educate those buyers who are kind of beating themselves up. Oh, I don't have 20% down. There's opportunity still out there. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, I have a client into contract right now who's putting 7% down on a very entry-level home on the east side, but it's a big house. It's a 5-bed, 4-bath, 1,900 square feet. It's actually split into 3 units. So you got the main house, which is a 3-bed, 2-bath. You have the garage conversion into a studio unit with its own kitchenette,
Right.
and then it also has an extension, which is an additional studio. So it's technically 5 bedrooms. And
What's
he's,
the income on something like that?
he's looking probably at 7,000 to 7,500 in rents. If he
Wow.
rents it out
And
individually,
I'm sorry, what's the price point?
it's 1.2. Yeah.
Why did we buy that?
Carry the one. Yeah.
So he's 7% down.
Yeah.
This isn't an FHA or VA.
It's not. It's a conventional loan. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it
Now they're
comes
still
with
going
a
to have PMI on that, right?
Yeah, he's going to have PMI. He's going to have a slightly higher rate,
Right.
but he's expecting to make a lot more money in
Yeah,
the next,
absolutely.
next year or so. So he's going to make a balloon payment and get rid of that PMI. But meanwhile, he gets, he's going to live in one of the rooms and he's going to
Right.
rent out everything. As some people term it, house hacking. Right.
Did the bank consider the rents at all as far as the approval process or underwriting at all?
They could have, but his income was good enough
that's
from
good.
a
So he
monthly,
didn't
so he didn't
that
have to
route
go
at all.
down that route. But I'm sure they would take that into
Yeah.
consideration as well.
Wow.
So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Jason, you were gonna say something about an article about
Yeah. So researching for today, you kind of look, see, hey, what's going on in the market, what's going on in the news, which is a lot of people read, and shocker, nothing but doom and gloom. I'm just like,
I wonder why. but
how do
that's
people
another-
read
that's
this?
another conversation.
But I came across a poll, nationwide poll, for specifically renters.
Okay.
They said 86% of current renters do want to buy a house, but feel like they can't afford it.
Is that a nationwide stat?
Nationwide stat.
Nationwide stat, 86%.
86%.
Wow.
And then they attribute that to high rates and affordability.
Sure.
Obviously. Amongst that 86%, they said 54% of that believe they'll never be able to purchase in their entire life.
Wow. That's a sad state right there.
because they're not working with the right.
But is that
agent.
perception or reality?
Perception.
Right.
Huh. And that's what...
Case in point, right?
Case in point,
So
right?
that's why I
Like,
wanted to bring that up. It's like, that's what they're seeing in the news. That's how they're feeling out there right now.
Right.
But they don't teach this stuff in school.
Dude, that's
Right.
half of my generation.
Yeah.
That's all of my
Yeah.
generation.
You don't learn any
And
of this.
yet, aren't you closing on a house soon?
Yeah.
your first house.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but I mean, it is like that though. My generation, everyone, even including me, thinks that again, it's not just the down payment that you have to save up for, but then that monthly payment on top of it, with all of your finances that you already have in your daily life. It's very hard with the interest rates to kind of make sense. But again, I think a lot of us have the mindset of we need the 4-bedroom, we need the backyard. When again,
Yeah, you need what your parents had. You enabled little punks.
yeah, well, see, yeah, but
Listen, I had a 1-bedroom condo when I started out.
So again, it depends on the
600 square
situation,
feet, right?
And it depends on the situation
And
you're
I
in.
was stressed out with that.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation you're in, obviously. But if you're not in, let's say, a long-term relationship where you know, again, you could be or you can't be, but let's say 2 friends living together, 2 buddies. They have $50,000 each.
Right.
There's McEwen's that we have sold between $550,000 and $700,000. Right. With $50,000 each down, your monthly mortgage is around $4,500, $5,000, $2,500 each. That is less than you're going to be paying if you try to get a 1-bedroom studio in most of the cities.
Yeah.
So I think you hit on something really interesting because it's, on one hand, is it the fear-based mentality, like where you're going, the perception, oh, I can't afford it, this and that, or is it that they're expecting too much
it's
for
both.
what they can afford?
Well, it's both.
Right? It's like you said, no, I want that 4-bedroom house that I grew up in. I should be able to afford it. My parents did, not realizing their parents started in a 600 square foot condo and probably sold and bought 4 homes to get to that level. Where, like what you just said, if they can concede to just getting in the game, get what you can afford right now. I remember those days where McEwen's were $150,000, and everyone was like, "Wow, who wants to?" They're a great property to live in, by all means.
But that's
they
the fear.
To choose,
but
right?
that's the fear right there. Do I want to live in a property that might not be the best property?
Exactly.
Is it
I'm not
an
going to be
area?
able to sell it.
Exactly.
It's not going to appreciate.
And then the
right?
conversation 3 weeks ago: am I going to lose friends? Are people not going to come over to my house? These are all things where, again, like
that's fear-based mentality. That's just fear-based.
And I keep telling like the young buyers, especially, because they think, how long do I have to be here for? What am I going to get out of this in the long run? What if it doesn't appreciate? Listen, at the same time, let's just say, worst comes to worst, your property you leave in 5 years and is not appreciated. It goes up $50,000, $100,000. You're breaking even. At the same time, you're taking that money that you put into that property to get it, that down payment. You're going to take the money that you've saved throughout the time of living at that property, and you're going to take your new income and you're going to take all of that wrapped up and apply for the new home at a different price point where it's going to all even out in the long run, but it's going to be that stepping stone to that larger 4-bedroom.
Well, let's face it, in
home.
our area, Silicon Valley, there's never been a time, if you go to that 5 to 7 year cycle,
I know.
that you crashed and burned. I mean, especially when you start looking at the depreciation you've got in it, when you look at the equity that you're building up because you're paying down that principal balance, right? And there is appreciation. I mean, if you go back 40, 50 years in our area appreciates 8.8% a year. Our national average is 2.3. So, yes, if you would have bought the property in 2004, in 2008, we crashed and burned. Yeah, but, so you waited out a little bit longer. 2012, boom, you doubled your value.
And again, for the renters who want to wait it out, I don't think there's anything wrong with waiting it out. But if you truly are a renter who wants to be a home buyer, like, this is the time to talk to one of us and get that team ready. Like, 12 months in advance. There's no point to think that you're going to be a home buyer in the future without having a plan, because then you're just going to be playing catch up to the market.
I can tell you this.
Again, if you want to be a renter, be a renter. But if you want to be a renter and invest out of state. But if you want to be a buyer, have that plan.
And I know Jason knows this because you're a homeowner. You're just getting your first home. I've had many of them, and we've all have had clients that never expected to generate the wealth they've done with the real estate they've purchased. Mm-hmm. So, and even in my case, I have never purchased a property that I thought was a great deal, that I wasn't overstretching myself, that I wasn't borrowing, scratching, and just putting everything into it and didn't think I overpaid for it. That didn't turn out to be an incredible investment. So, I say get in the game as soon as you can. Talk to us. Just even listen. We're advisors. You got any questions? It's never a waste of time. Right?
We have a client I just met with that are 2 local cops, and they bought their house in 2014.
Okay.
They're looking to sell.
Yeah.
And we're having conversations on how do I not get hit too big with the
taxes.
bill. Yeah. Like, man, at $500,000, I should have been more aware and thought about this then.
Well, but here's the thing: they still get that $500,000,
yes.
right? Exclusion. Here's what I always, because especially in my world, I get the individuals that have bought their homes back in the '70s for $150,000, and now it's worth $2 million, and they're gonna have a huge tax hit. Here's what I tell them: thank goodness you bought in the orchards of Silicon Valley, not the orchards in Fresno. You would have never known this appreciation. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. And what's it worth for you to move on to the next chapter of your life? Yes, you got to pay Uncle Sam. But you would, if you bought this house for $150,000, and if somebody told you at that time you're worth $2 million one day, you'd say no freaking way.
Zero chance.
Yeah. And now it is. Yes, you got to pay Uncle Sam. Okay, well, you know what? Look where we live.
Yeah.
You got to pay to play.
Absolutely. And wherever they move to, that money goes such a long way.
Right, and there are ways to defer taxes through seller financing. There's a ways to with the taxes. Now we can.
If you're making $500,000 untaxed, you're making a killing. Stop tripping about the money.
To live there and enjoy it.
And
Like,
let's face
And how
it.
long? 2014? 10
Yeah.
years? Right? Stop. You can't save that money in 10 years.
We got a client in Los Gatos who in 2020, so 4 years ago, bought their house $4.2 million. It's now worth $6 million in 4 freaking years. In 4 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and the longer you hold it, the more value it gets. So get in the game.
Get in the game.
Get in the
Absolutely.
game.
So Ben, what you're saying is, if you're out there and you didn't learn this in school and you need a plan, even if you're not ready, give us a call.
Give us a call.
We'll be your teachers.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll get you a 2, 3, 4 year plan, whatever.
Literally.
All right, so we got a little bit of pivoting going on in our business right now, which I think a lot of agents and even the consumers are overanalyzing it a little bit too much regarding this NAR lawsuit settlement. At the end of the day, it all comes down to commissions. That's it, right? Which is for us as real estate professionals to worry about. I don't want our clients to worry about that. It's obviously something we can help educate them on, right? So we do have a lot of forms coming out. They're going to be a lot of confusing to individuals if they're working with an agent who can't properly articulate the messaging. And the bottom line that I want to push out is, instead of everybody stressing out about this, the commission really is 1% of, and I'm not talking about the value they're paying out, but 1% of what the transaction's about. 99% about it is it the right house for you? Are you qualified for it? Is it really what you want? That's really what we should be focusing on. So the industry hasn't changed in that regard as far as finding the right house for the right buyer. Simple as that. Now, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
Now, what has changed is how us as real estate agents who represent buyers get paid, right? That's what's changed, right? No, go ahead.
No, obviously we're getting contracts left and right from the office and stuff. I looked at the new listing contract.
We're running. I got to run 3 days worth of classes over the next 2 weeks.
The new listing contract now
Yes.
has a bubble in there or a box that
Yes.
says will compensate buyer's agent's fees.
Correct.
So they went from adding that into us just conversating it with our sellers a month ago. So nothing really changes. We just can't market it now.
Well, no, it's not that you can't market it. You just can't put it on MLS.
Well, yeah.
We can put it anywhere we want other than MLS. That's it. And I don't think, as I've said this before, this whole NAR settlement scenario that DOJ has signed off on, Department of Justice, I think there's going to be further changes down the road.
Absolutely.
Basically, what it says, and you also have to understand is that in California, commissions have always been negotiable. This whole lawsuit started back east in an area where they kind of their contracts were, here you're paying 6%. In our contracts, it's always stated in bold, your commissions are negotiable. They are negotiable, period, right? So now it's just a matter of educating a seller of why do they want to still offer up a concession, right? It's not a commission anymore. It's a concession or compensation. And educating them. And if the seller decides, here's the way I look at it is, if you go into an area like Los Gatos, you have 85 listings on the market. 70 of those listings are still offering 2.5%. The remaining are offering 2%. There might be 1 or 2 that's a flat fee of 10 or 15 grand. Now, that's all, if you're looking at the net of your house, the net value, the net after sales price on there, you might say, oh, geez, this guy's paying 2.5, I'm only paying 10. They're saving X amount. It's not necessarily true, right? While agents and anybody on our team, we don't care if they're offering out 10,000 or 2.5. We're still going to show it to our client because we're going to do what's in the best interest of our clients.
So we're going to send them an addendum to
Right. That option, right? But the reality of it is, it's still in the best interest. If I'm a seller, I just sold a property, I offered out 2.5%. Hell, I might even go 3% because I want those 13,000 agents that are in here in Santa Clara County bringing every buyer that they can. And, we do work on commission. We're a commission-based industry. Now, with that being said, I do believe there's going to be a lot of compression on the buyer commission, but that's for us to have to worry about. And we have the tools now that are coming through. One of them is that every buyer we deal with, even if somebody calls up through a Zillow lead and we're just meeting them the first time at the house, we have to have a buyer-broker agreement with them. We have to. And I argue that we should have always had that. Why is it that we go work with a seller, and you will not touch a seller? You can't touch a seller unless you have a listing contract. It's the same thing. We now have a contract with our buyer. and the buyers have to commit. I think it's an education more so that we have to do on the buyer.
What I've been telling buyers is, especially newer ones that aren't like, hey, this is my cousin or my family, like, where I don't already have the relationship, it's new.
Right.
Said, hey, have you ever sold a house? They'll say, well, yeah. Well, did you interview agents? Well, yeah.
Right.
You should probably now time to interview buyers agents.
Right.
So if you're like, let's meet, let's talk about it. Let me interview. Let me show you what we offer and value. And if you think that's great, we sign right here. If not, you go interview the next one.
Yeah.
But. So that's what we're
it's
saying.
going to be like our listing appointments, right? Where we sit down, have that conversation.
Well, surprise, surprise, you should hire the best person for your job because who
you
work with matters.
It's funny that you randomly just brought up that 3% thing, because at the mastermind, we ran those numbers on what 3% looks like off of, so it was an example in our office where an agent was selling a home and they were going back and forth between like, why would I give back a buyer's agent 3% if I can give this one 2.5%? And when we ran the numbers on, let's say that 3% offered 50 grand higher, for 41 extra grand, you're offering $9,000 back. So, I mean, it really comes down to the numbers, and you hope that the selling agents have that discussion with the sellers and break down those numbers.
Again, this is where I push forward. At the end of the day, for a seller, it's getting the highest price possible, the highest net possible. And how can you do that? And for a buyer, it's just making the deal work to get into that house. Don't get caught up on a commission. I mean,
how overcomplicated is it going to be when they, like, when you said if you get 5 offers at 5 different commission rates, how hard is it going to be to run all those numbers and then counter every single one back?
No. Well, our office already does that for us. We get a net summary sheet side by side that compares it.
But what that makes it difficult is, like, let's say you do a multiple counter offer.
Yes.
So you're doing different counters at different, and then they are coming back at different places, and you do another net sheet. Let's say you fix on a final offer that you select, and then that home sells. Now imagine 100 homes like those sell, and you have all of these comps that have different.
You better. I hear you.
Then
no longer can you just look at the comp sale price.
Exactly. You got to call every single person.
So we got to work a little harder.
A lot harder. Way harder.
I will argue the fact
it's not about harder. The whole entire lawsuit was because of the transparency, and now there's no transparency. I don't know what's going on.
I'm going to tell you right now, looking at the camera, this settlement was not on the benefit of the consumer.
Yeah.
Whatever. Text me, say whatever you want. This is not on the benefit of the consumer.
Because now, not just on the buy side, like when a home's listed, and that we have to worry about these costs, but on the list side as well. How do you price a home, right? Like based on all these concessions that people are giving out or not giving out, you have all these conflicting comps. For example, I'm dealing with a condo medium. We are in a contract for this condo in Communications Hill. There's a special assessment, and there's all these varying comps because for one of them, the sellers paid the special assessment. For the other, the buyer paid the special. For others, they've split it 50-50. So I had to call about 6 to 7 comps in that community, and all of them had varying answers. So we really couldn't pinpoint the value that we could put on this condo. So we just had to go with.
Let me say this, because you're going to prove what I'm about to say. It's who you work with matters. The fact that you did that, I'll tell you what. There is a huge amount of other agents and stuff that would never even think about that. And again, what it's going to do is it's going to strengthen. This is going to level out the playing field for agents. We're going to have a lot of agents fall out because they're not going to be able to articulate their value or what's happening right now. They're not going to look at it the way, Jeet, that you just said, that you really have to analyze. Like, listen, that thing might have sold for $1 million, but they paid 2.5%, where this other one sold for $1 million and didn't pay anything, right? So those are all things that you have to look at. And yes, we're going to have to dive a little bit deeper into it. But again, that is where I think, now that is where the consumer is going to benefit, but they better choose the right agent, the right advisor in their back pocket to ensure that they're going to look at every single
and I
detail.
think this, and the other one that I said with my clients putting 7% down for that single family home, they were on the market for 40 days and they didn't get an offer, and that's also because they weren't paying out the right commission as well. Like they were a little under 2%, and with my offer, I called the agent first. When we looked at it, we reviewed the disclosures, we were about to put in an offer, and then I caught that, so I called him and I was like, hey, is this a typo? And I just waited for his answer, and he's like, no, that's what we are offering. And I was like, okay, would you be open to offering out the normal comp for for the right offer? Because we have a pretty strong offer for you guys, and we would like this compensation. And he's like, yeah, just write it into the offer, and we are about to close.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. At the end of the day, it comes down to negotiations.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that. I know nobody at this table will ever make their commission get in the way of our client getting the right property for themselves, right? Because it's a volume play, right? It's not just, we don't live off of every commission we make.
Absolutely.
We live off the relationship we build with our clients long term, right?
Do you think, I know you can't market commission when it's selling, but do you think after the property sells, MLS allows you to?
No, you can't do that. But
not even
listen,
no, like after, like in the private
there
market,
is
sold with the
nothing-
compensation.
There's nothing different than what the commercial industry does right now.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying afterwards. Like, so when we run our comps, like in the private notes, they say sold with the compensation.
No, you can't. I mean, I don't believe that. That is not the case right now. I will say things will be continuing to change. I mean, there's an issue right now that DOJ is looking at where you have these companies popping up that are saying, hey, we're a third party. We'll market to the other brokerage community what your commissions are and stuff. And that clears us. It's a third party who's not even a brokerage at all. But of course, DOJ and some of the other things that we're talking about. Well, a lot of the MLSs are like going around it. We're gonna call it a concession, not a compensation. So we're gonna put it over here that seller will credit up to X or whatever, right? And DOJ is like, hey, you guys, all you're doing is finding the loopholes, and that's not in the spirit of the settlement. So there's going to be additional changes coming down the road. But again, that's where we just need to focus on the right property, right price for the right client. What's our sellers going to get? And, yes, we will internally have to figure out how do we work with those, how we get paid, compensation. But I don't want the client to have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I think it's more of the challenge. Well, listen, it's going to be a challenge on both sides, right? You're going to have the sellers. It's interesting. I think last podcast I said I only have about 10% of my clients bringing that up, seller side. It's about 20% now, right?
Yeah. Didn't sellers always bring it up though? When we said
No,
I
will tell you this. Prior to this, 76% of the time it's the agent that brings up the commission conversation. Only 24% of the time does the seller bring it up.
Mark, in 30 years, have you ever seen anything, a change as big as this? And if yes, what was
we've had what we call threats to our industry, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like the discount brokerages, the worry about the Big Brother Zillow getting into the real estate business and taking our business away from us and stuff. And all those things were more kind of fear-based than anything, and nothing really changes. I mean, we've had, but to your point, we haven't had any major revisions to how our industry works until this, because this does kind of rock our world, right? While I think it's going to be the new norm 6 to 12 months from now, and we'll just look back at this and gosh, how did we pivot so much? And for us, our industry advisor, our advisors aren't necessarily getting it right. I mean, like some of the new forms that we've been put out by CAR are still pretty confusing, and we're having all the town hall meetings and all that stuff. But this one has definitely changed our industry, I think, more than anything else. All the other changes we have were kind of to the betterment of everything, like technology, right? I mean, the fact that, in my day, we had fax machines where you'd print a contract out on the paper and it would disappear on you in a couple months, right? We had a little modem that you had to go in there and put in your codes for the 3-bedroom house, and 10 agents would stand in line to be able to do it.
Yeah,
but we didn't have pagers. We had pagers, yes.
They used maps to get around on their horses.
Yeah, our open house used to be a book that you'd have to go in and do the book. We would have floor books that would have a floor book you'd be the floor agent for the day, and you would have all the calls come in, and you'd have this book this big of all the listings in the office. Somebody would call you up and say, I'm calling on Washington Street. Oh, let me look that up for you. Oh yeah, Washington Street, it's a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So we've had some incredible revisions to our industry that has helped us out quite a bit.
Right.
And I think ultimately, I'm not opposed to this if it's handled the right way.
Yeah.
From an insider standpoint, I think it solidifies. I think it solidifies the reason why, as agents, we still need to focus on listings. Buyers will come, but listings are where, for our industry, is what we need to focus on. And I think that's where we bring. You guys might disagree with me. I feel that for me, I bring the biggest value on the listing side of it, right? But also, I think it'll be more complicated on the buyer side.
Yeah.
So for you guys that work with buyers, you're going to bring a huge value to it. Just realize you're not going to get a secured. You're going to have to work a little bit harder for your money, right?
I get that.
Yeah.
But the last change that I can think of that shook things up was during the COVID times with PED and everything. But that wasn't a major change,
blip.
right?
Yeah.
But do you think with this kind of change, a lot of agents will also be weeded out of the
100%.
industry.
And it was already starting just with the change in the economy, right? I mean, we went up to 16,000 agents. NAR, prior to this whole fiasco, stated that just the change in the economy is going to, we'll have 30% agents drop out. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm sure you guys are too. I mean, how many times do we get those calls from agents that you're like, are you licensed? I mean, why are you asking me these questions, right? How'd you get your client to actually sign off and you representing them other than it's your brother or sister or something, right? So, I think this will thin the herd even more.
Thin the herd.
Which a team like us, I mean, listen, all of you guys sitting at this table, and David and Aaron and even our support team and everything, we have busted our butts to be the best in our industry, period. And we constantly do. Constant education, constant training. The really cool thing about our team is just the brainstorming sessions we can have, and at an instant, we could, I could run to Jason even, or any of you guys, or you can run to me and David, and we can figure out what's the best way to handle it. So I definitely welcome the fact that we're going to have a little thinning of the herd going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More market share for us.
100%, right? And it also, I mean, how many times, listen, I've always said, people will complain about how much we make, especially in our area, right? And there's that good news, bad news. Good news is you don't have to sell a lot of homes to make a lot of money. Bad news is you don't have to sell a lot of homes to make a lot of money. And why I say that is you got agents that are out there selling 7 to 8 homes, 7 to 8, not 78, 7 to 8 homes a year. And they can make their $300,000 very easily doing that, which is more than 80% of the people make out there, if not more. And yet they think they're the greatest thing to real estate. Where you have a team like us that does 150 transactions that we all get to participate in. That's why you guys Gene, how long have you been in the business now? 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, fourth year.
You have more experience being on this team with those transactions than people who've been in this business for 20 years.
Yeah, I would say so. Right. I mean, that it definitely it makes the learning curve a lot flatter. You experiencing so many transactions going on, and being in the market, having a pulse on the market as to what's going on, because we have all these listings in different areas, getting to know how many people are coming in, what kind of offers are coming up, and and just how quickly these homes are pending or sitting on the market just gives you that insight. And that's why, like, I can meet a client in Mountain View and the next day in South San Jose and then the next day in Fremont, and I know every single thing that's happening in all these pockets. So, definitely, it comes across as if I've been in the business for over a decade.
That's sick. Come and check out our billboard. We're gonna have a billboard on Camden and Bascom.
That's right. Yeah, they can't climb up there and draw the mustaches on all of us.
I dare you. I dare you.
Yeah. We had a very successful movie night last week.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Over 82 people show up, and it was a fantastic
premiere. Who had
premiere.
the most clients?
It was a tie between Mark and I.
A tie?
Was it really? And I wasn't even there. So there you go.
We're going to have to give that to G then.
G was even pulling guys from the gym.
Yeah, actually, I won by one guy.
There you go.
But if that works out, it'll be a good one.
Well, and then we also have music in the park. We got Jazz in the Plaza coming on. So, we're always about it's work, but it's creating those relationships that we talked about. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. All right. We wrapping it? Is it a wrap?
Feel good? Jake, what do you think?
Where's our producer at?
Yeah, give it a little. See y'all next time.
See you next time, guys. Hey, listen, thank you guys. We appreciate you. Call us if you need anything. Take care.
We have successfully unlocked something value.